welcome into our Packers News Facebook Live, our final Facebook Live from here in Indianapolis, we believe, at the 2022 NFL Combine. I'm Kassidy Hill. This is Tom Silverstein. Spoon, here in front of the bench press, which got its most action we've seen all week today with the offensive linemen and the running backs. Who out of this group, and I know we've talked about, the Packers have A.J. Dillon, they have Aaron Jones. They're not looking too hard at running backs early in the day or early in the rounds. But who out of this group, maybe on the offensive line, really kind of stood out to you?
Well, really what you can't see is guys doing drills. So to me, you can see the bench. I think the highest was 32, which isn't off the charts great. I mean, I think the all-time record is 51.
Right, it is.
So, so I didn't see anything special. Some of the guys ran pretty quick 40 times, but again, I'm always like, why do they run 40-yard dashes for offensive linemen? I mean, when do they ever run full speed 40 yards? I mean, not all that often. So
I would want to see them run a 5-yard dash.
Yeah. Well, maybe that's what they do, is go for the 10-yard score on there, which they do look at that.
The split. I know that we have been able to talk to some Wisconsin guys today or over this week. Not sure if any of them are going to necessarily land with the Packers, but still hometown guys. Who kind of stood out to you from there, and did anyone maybe impress you more than you were thinking they would coming into this week?
Well,
those four.
Yeah, of the Badger guys, I'm interested in to see how Leo Chenal works out. So he's going to run here, and I asked him what he thought he was going to run, and he said, well, everyone thinks I'm going to run a 4.7, but, you'll have to wait and see. He's down about 10 pounds since he was 260. He's a big thumper, inside linebacker, and not really known to be a coverage guy, but this is important for him. He's going to have to run really well. He's going to blow up the bench, only he's not going to do it here. He's going to wait until his pro day. He wants to break the record for linebackers, which is 41.
I thought you said 47. 41, you're right, it's 41.
Yeah, so that'd be interesting to see. He is a big physical guy. You actually talked to Jack Sanborn. I didn't get a chance to really talk to him, so I'm not sure what he was looking forward to. And then, they've got Logan Bruss, who's a typical Wisconsin offensive lineman. Big guy who can move, has gigantic hands but not real long arms. He's probably he played right tackle, he's probably going to play guard in the NFL, and he's going to be a third-day pick probably. So these Wisconsin guys, they tend to find a spot in the NFL. So those are, a couple of the guys that we talked to.
You're getting a good blocker when you get a Wisconsin guy, it seems like, for sure. If you have any comments or questions, go ahead and drop them in the comments. We'll get to them here in a few seconds. Speaking of 40 times, you're talking about Leo's 40 time. The wide receivers ran the 40 time last night, and Spoon, looking at some of their times, I was like, time is not an actual existence. It's just a social construct. It means nothing, because those times were ridiculous. Some of them did go up after we got the official times in, but even the official times, I mean, you're sitting there going, okay, Chris Olave went from, a 4.26 to a 4.39. A 4.39 is still a sub 4.4. That's blazing. This is a wide receiver class full of speed. Is that something the Packers can use, especially with the possibility of not having MVS next year?
I think it's imperative to get a guy who can catch and who can run routes. And then if he's got speed, well, that's the total package. So, Devontae Adams was a 4.5 guy coming in, and he's the best wide receiver in the NFL right now. So you don't have to have blazing speed, but it's nice to have one as a complement. Right. And the thing that always worries me about these really fast 40 guys is a lot of time they're just straight line speed. So, they can just run like that. Well, all a cornerback has to do is play him 15 yards off the line of scrimmage, and it's not that big a deal. So what really intrigues me are guys who can run, but look really smooth in their cuts, and you don't see that until they start doing the drills, the pass receiving drills.
Like the yeah. Speaking of that, I know that you and I have talked about this off air as well. Like a couple of people have mentioned, the possibility of Williams sitting there at 28. Packers don't like to use first rounds on wide receivers or injured guys. Yes, they would not get him until postseason at earliest, probably in 2022. But Packers famously or infamously, depending on who you ask, do not use first rounders on wide receivers.
Right.
With this particular wide receiver class, do you do it or do you stick to your guns, stick to your plan?
Well, they pick late enough that I could see them taking a wide receiver. I mean, it's, what are they, 28th? So, I mean, that's practically the second round. I think, really, I think it's going to wind up being, if there's an edge rusher or a defensive tackle, I still think that'll be the pick because there's a lot of wide receivers in this draft and they don't have to push it. But if it's whoever that is at 28 is a clear cut, real talent, then yeah, I think they would break the string because they didn't take one, 2 years ago when it was a great class, and they need to start making up for that.
Yeah, that was like the Justin Jefferson class, all of those.
They won it.
Yeah. Kyle asked about the franchise tag. We're now less than a week away from that franchise tag deadline. I know you've been moving and shaking and talking to people while you're here. What sort of sense do you get? Does it feel like the Packers will for sure be putting that tag on Davante Adams?
Yeah, that's going to happen. I see no reason why it wouldn't. As we said yesterday, they can put it on him, and they still have, 8 days to decide to negotiate with him and get that cap number down. That $20 million franchise cap number doesn't count until March 16th. But the deadline is the 8th for putting it on. So, yes, they're going to put it on him. There's no way they get a deal done by Monday, Tuesday?
Right.
8th is Tuesday.
Yes.
So I don't see that happening. I'm not even sure we'll have a decision from Aaron Rodgers by then. And so, yeah, I think we'll see the franchise on him, and then they'll wait. They'll wait and see what happens with Rodgers.
And then there was some news, I think, last night that you mentioned in our notes, but just for those that missed it, about David Bakhtiari's contract actually affecting the cap a little different than we thought.
Yeah, not by a ton. They just did not add any more voidable years to his deal, which reduced the amount they cut their cap by. Bottom line, they're $31 million over the cap. And
31 million, once you're that much, it's all the same.
It is, yep.
And do you think that the salary cap will be risen any once it's finally set for 2022? Will they get a little more wiggle room?
Sometimes they do right at the end, but usually you hear by now, the Players Association has an idea and they tell their agents, but I have not heard anybody say that it's going to be anything but 208.2.
Yeah. If you do have any final questions, go ahead and drop them in the comment here before we do sign off from Indianapolis. But Spoon, just final thoughts from you as well. Do you leave here with a better idea of what the Packers will do with their draft overall? Or is that still too far away? Do they have to get through free agency first?
I have to be honest that my focus during this whole thing was Aaron Rodgers, 1.
He's all of our focus.
Aaron Rodgers, 2. Davante Adams, 2A. I spent most of my time tracking down agents and personnel people and just feeling them out for how this is going to go, because nothing happens until Aaron Rodgers makes his decision. I saw Russ Ball working his magic in a hotel lobby. I won't give up which one it was, but it's, as I said to one agent, it's like he's the Godfather. He sits there and the people come into the room and they let him in and thank you for meeting me, Godfather, and then he walks out. But he's hamstrung. He can't do anything. It's just they're stuck until Rodgers makes a decision.
Randy asked how much do the contracts cost. I'm assuming you're talking about Rodgers and Adams. That's really kind of the question of the hour, right? Yes. We're assuming 45 to 50 for Rodgers, 20 for Adams?
More than that for Adams. Could could be 25.
Okay.
All depends on guaranteed money. Um, if Rodgers, it's going to be more than 45. That much we know. I mean, just because that's the highest average. That's Patrick Mahomes' average. And everybody here thinks it's about money or thinks that that's important. Only Aaron Rodgers knows for sure. Yeah, I still don't really understand how they're going to do it,
Yeah.
but they think they're going to do it. And yeah.
Heidi asked, how much could they go over the cap? Nothing, right? On March 16th, not a penny over.
Start losing draft picks if you're over the cap.
Yeah.
You have to be under the cap. If it's $1, you can be $1 under the cap, but you better be under.
But not $1 over.
Nope, not $1 over. And they can do it. I think they're going to have to, if they re-sign Rodgers, they're going to have to give in to the structure that they hate doing, which is guaranteeing salaries. They usually like to just give a big signing bonus. And the reason they like that is then it's wiped off their books for that year. That cash is gone. It's to the player. Bam. They don't have to worry about anything in the future except, the contract that they budgeted. With guaranteed contracts, you're giving them, a guaranteed contract at 23, or 22, 23, 24. And if something happens, it's like you're Bobby Bonilla, you're getting paid, you might be getting paid 5 years after or 10, or how many years he's, been getting a payment for his contract.
Do you celebrate Bobby Bonilla Day?
Yeah, so it could be Aaron Rodgers Day. I don't know. But that's what they've really fought to not do. And I think the only way to get under the cap is to do it that way, because it really does allow you to keep the cap number down this year.
Last question from Kyle. Did you learn anything more about the Rodgers situation this week that you didn't know before?
I did, but I'm not going to say it here because I'm going to write it for my column. I wouldn't say it's like breaking news, but it's a thought. It's a thought that someone planted in my head, and it made a lot of sense. Well, they sort of gave me the seeds, and then I kind of
gave you a wink to follow the path.
And I sort of put it all together, and so read my column on Sunday, because I think it will spell sort of where they're at.
I actually do know what it's about, and you should definitely read it on Sunday.
Yeah, it's actually
going to be.
since I told you.
Then don't tell me. I look forward to reading it as well, and reading it fresh. Spoon, it's been fun. This was my first combine. It's your, what did you say, 15th?
Something like that.
At that point, you lose count.
Yeah, I don't really know. Probably close to 20. I don't know.
Oh my goodness,
But I still haven't done the bench press. Can people?
I
see
will
that
give
over
you
there? No,
I'll give you $5 if you go do it.
Go over and do 225. I couldn't
Yeah.
even lift that off the rack.
I don't know if I could do the bar. That's 45.
My entire body would snap in half.
I don't even want to look at it.
Where's the one? Don't they have one where there's like styrofoam barbells on it somewhere? I think for the fans they have one.
That would be my bench press. That would be my bench press. We'll have to do it before next year's combine. But like I said, it has been a ton of fun. It's been busy, but it's been 6 weeks of kind of nothing. So it was nice to be busy again.
Yeah, and I feel bad. Like I really wanted to be able to tell people more about the draft prospects, but this week was all about who, and so
like you said, they can't really do anything with the prospects till they know what they're doing with them.
Right, and so we'll catch up on that. There'll be plenty of time, and we have lots of interviews from here.
Yeah. We'll have his decision before Pro Day. We better have his decision before Pro Days.